The starship New Horizon came out of hyperspace near a massive space station. The station was bigger than any city on Earth. It floated in the dark space around a blue planet called Kepler Prime. John Carter stood on the bridge and looked at the alien structure through the main window. He had never seen anything like it before. John was Earth's best diplomat. He had worked for the government for 20 years. He had solved many problems between countries on Earth. Now he had a much bigger job. He was going to meet aliens for the first time in human history. "Sir, we are getting a message from the station," said Lisa Park. She was John's helper and friend. She had worked with him for 5 years. She was smart and always stayed calm when things got difficult. "Put it on the main screen," John said. A strange face appeared on the screen. It looked like a mix between a human and a lizard. The creature had green skin and yellow eyes. It spoke in perfect English. "Welcome, humans. I am Commander Zekov. The Galactic Council. You may dock at Port 7. A guide will meet you there." John smiled and nodded. "Thank you, Commander. We look forward to meeting with the Council." The screen went dark. John turned to his team. Then Walker was the security chief. He was a big man with strong arms and a serious face. He had been a soldier before joining the diplomatic service. Amy Foster was a scientist who studied alien life. She was excited to meet real aliens for the first time. "Remember," John said to his team, "we are here to make friends. Earth needs allies in this big galaxy. We must be polite and respectful." The New Horizon docked at the station. John and his team walked through the airlock. The gravity felt normal. The air was clean and fresh. But everything else was strange and new. Their guide was waiting for them. It was a tall, thin creature with blue skin and 4 arms. It had no hair and big black eyes. It wore a simple white robe. "Greetings," the creature said. "I am Guide Raoul. I will show you to your rooms. Tomorrow you will meet the Council." They walked through long corridors. The walls were made of a smooth, white material that seemed to glow softly. Other aliens walked past them. John saw creatures that looked like giant insects, others that were covered in fur, and some that floated in the air without legs. "How many different species are in the Council?" Amy asked a guide Raoul. 12 species rule the galaxy," Raoul replied. "We have kept peace for 10,000 years. Your species is very young. You have much to learn." They reached their rooms. Each human had a small but comfortable space with a bed, desk, and bathroom. The rooms were connected by a common area where they could meet and talk. "Rest well, guide," Raoul said. "Tomorrow will be a big day for your species." After Raoul left, John gathered his team in the common area. "What do you think?" he asked. "The technology here is amazing," Amy said. "These aliens are far ahead of us in science." "They seem peaceful," Lisa added, "but I noticed something. All the aliens we saw looked afraid or nervous." "They didn't seem happy," Ben nodded. "I saw that too. And there are a lot of security cameras. This place feels more like a prison than a government building." John thought about this. "We need to be careful. But remember, we are here to join the galactic community. Earth needs what they can offer us." The next morning, Guide Raoul came to get them. They walked to a huge round room with a high ceiling. 12 chairs were arranged in a circle. Each chair was different, made for a different type of alien body. The council members were already sitting in their chairs. John saw the lizard-like commander from yesterday. There was also a creature that looked like a giant bug with 6 legs. Another looked like a bear covered in metal plates. A floating jellyfish-like being hovered over one chair. "Humans," said the lizard commander. "I am High Counselor Zek. We have been watching your species for some time. You have grown quickly." "Perhaps too quickly," John stepped forward. "Thank you for meeting with us. Earth is honored to be here. We hope to learn from you and contribute to galactic peace." The giant bug creature clicked its mandibles. "Peace requires order. Order requires rules. We have rules that all species must follow." A holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed a long list of rules and restrictions. John read them quickly. His heart sank. The rules would limit how many ships Earth could build. They would control what planets humans could visit. Earth's military would be restricted to a small number of ships. Human technology would be shared with the Council, but Council technology would not be shared with humans. These rules seem very strict, John said carefully. Perhaps we could discuss some changes. The room became very quiet. The Council members looked at each other. High Counselor Zek's eyes became narrow and dangerous. The integration protocols are not open for discussion, Zek said. Every species that joins the Council must accept these rules. There are no exceptions. But some of these rules would hurt Earth's ability to defend itself, John replied. What if we are attacked? Attacked by whom? Asked the bear-like creature. The Council keeps peace in the galaxy. If you follow our rules, you will be safe. And if we don't follow the rules? John asked. The floating jellyfish creature spoke for the first time. Its voice was like the sound of wind through trees. Species that do not follow Council rules become problems. Problems are solved. John felt a chill go down his spine. This was not the friendly welcome he had expected. These aliens were not offering friendship. They were demanding surrender. I need to discuss this with my government on Earth, John said. May I have some time to send a message home? High Counselor Zek nodded slowly. You have 3 days. But remember, human, the Council has ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. We have seen many young species like yours. Some learned to obey, others learned the cost of defiance. John and his team were escorted back to their rooms. As soon as they were alone, John turned to his team. We're in trouble, he said. These aren't allies. They're conquerors. John Carter spent 2 days trying to send messages to Earth. Every time he tried to use the communication system, it failed. The station's computer said there were technical problems. But John knew better. The Council was blocking his calls on. The third morning, Lisa Park brought John his breakfast from the food machine in their common area. The machine could make any Earth food they wanted. It was one of the few good things about their stay on the station. Still no luck reaching Earth? Lisa asked. John shook his head. They're jamming our communications. I think they've already decided what they're going to do with us. Amy Foster was studying her scanner in the corner. She had been checking the station's air and water to make sure it was safe for humans. John, I'm getting some strange readings from the food machine, she said. What kind of readings? John asked. There are some chemicals in the food that shouldn't be there, very small amounts. I almost missed them. John put down his food. What kind of chemicals? Amy looked worried. I'm not sure. They're nothing I've seen before, alien compounds. They could be preservatives or ... She stopped talking. Or what? Lisa demanded. Or poison, Amy whispered. Ben Walker had been checking the security systems in their rooms. He came over to their group. I found something else, he said. The security cameras in John's room have been turned off for the past hour each night at midnight. John felt his stomach get cold. Someone has been coming into my room while I sleep. We need to get out of here, Lisa said. Now, where can we go? Ben asked. We're trapped on this station. Our ship is locked down in the docking bay. John made a decision. Amy, can you figure out what those chemicals are? I'll try. But I need more time and better equipment. Ben, can you get us access to the ship? Maybe, but it will be dangerous. If they catch us trying to leave ... we're dead anyway, John said. They're slowly poisoning me. When I die, they'll say it was an accident. Then they'll probably kill all of you to cover it up. That night, John pretended to eat his dinner but threw it away when no one was looking. He lay in his bed with his eyes closed, but he did not sleep. He wanted to see who was coming into his room. At midnight, he heard a soft sound. The door to his room opened without any noise. 2 figures came in. In the dim light, John could see. They were the insect-like Shikari aliens. They moved to his food machine and did something to it. Then they left as quietly as they had come. John waited until he was sure they were gone. Then he got up and checked the food machine. There was a small device attached to the back. It was injecting something into all the food the machine made. The next morning, John called his team together. He showed them what he had found. "They're definitely trying to kill me," he said. "But they're doing it slowly, so it looks natural." Amy had been working all night on her analysis. "I figured out what the poison is," she said. "It's a biological weapon made by the saurian species. It attacks the human nervous system. Death looks like a heart attack." "How long do I have?" John asked. "If you stop eating the poisoned food now, maybe a week. The damage builds up over time." John nodded. "Then we need to act fast. Ben, can you get a message to Earth?" "I can try to reach our ship's communication system, but I'll have to get past the security guards." "Do it," John said. "Tell Earth what's happening here. Tell them the Council plans to kill us and then attack." "Earth, that night Ben tried to sneak to the docking bay, but the Council had too many guards. They caught him before he reached the New Horizon. When they brought him back, High Counselor Zek was waiting." "Trying to leave so soon?" Zek asked. "But your 3 days are not up yet. We know what you're doing," John said. "You're poisoning me," Zek smiled, showing sharp teeth. "That is a serious accusation. Do you have proof?" John showed him the device from the food machine. "This is your proof." Zek looked at the device. "This is standard equipment for adjusting food to alien biology. It makes the food safer for humans to eat." "That's a lie," Amy said. "This device is adding saurian nerve toxin to the food." "More accusations," Zek said. "You humans are very paranoid. Perhaps that is why your species is too dangerous to join the galactic community." Suddenly, more guards surrounded John and his team. They were not just Jakari. There were saurian reptile men with weapons and the metal-plated bear creatures, carrying energy restraints. "You are all under arrest," Zek announced. "You are charged with making false accusations against council members and disturbing galactic peace." "This is illegal," John protested. "We are diplomatic representatives. We have rights under galactic law. The Council makes galactic law," Zek replied. "And the Council has decided that humanity is a threat to peace." They were taken to prison cells deep inside the station. The cells were small and dark. Each human was put in a separate cell so they could not talk to each other. John lay on the hard bed in his cell and thought about what had happened. The Council had never intended to let humanity join them as equals. This had been a trap from the beginning. They had invited Earth's diplomats here to kill them and then use their deaths as an excuse to attack Earth. 2 days later, a guard brought John to a large room where the full council was meeting. All 12 species were represented. John was forced to stand in the center while they talked about him like he was not there. "The human problem must be solved permanently," said the jellyfish creature. "Their technology is advancing too quickly. Soon they will be a threat to council authority." "I agree," said a new alien that looked like a walking tree. "Young species that grow too fast always become aggressive. It is better to stop them now," High Counselor Zek nodded. The council votes on 2 questions. First, what to do with the human delegation. The vote was quick. All 12 species voted for execution. Second, what to do about Earth. Again, the vote was unanimous. The Council would declare Earth a rogue world and impose a complete quarantine around the solar system. Any species that tried to contact Earth would be punished. "When will you kill us?" John asked. "Tomorrow," Zek replied. "Your deaths will be broadcast to your homeworld as a warning. Then we will position our fleets around your solar system. Humanity will never leave Earth again." John was taken back to his cell, but as they walked through the corridors, he saw Amy Foster being moved to a different area. She caught his eye and made a small hand signal. It was a code they had learned in diplomatic training. She was telling him that she had found a way to send a message to Earth. That night, John lay in his cell and hoped that Amy had succeeded. If Earth received her warning, maybe his people would have a chance to fight back. If not, humanity would die without ever knowing why. In the darkness of his cell, John Carter prepared to die. But he also hoped that his death would not be in vain. Someone had to pay for this betrayal. Someone had to make the council understand that humans were not easy prey. He closed his eyes and thought of Earth. Soon, the council would learn what happened when they made humanity angry. Dr. Amy Foster had always been good with computers. While the guards were busy watching John Carter, she had managed to hack into the station's communication system. She sent a coded message to Earth just before the council shut down all outside communications. The message reached Earth 3 days later. It arrived at the Global Defense Center in Colorado, where Admiral Susan Wright was having her morning coffee. Susan was the head of Earth's space military. She had served in the colonial wars on Mars and Europa. She was tough, smart, and did not like being threatened. The message was short but clear. Council murdered John, planning to attack Earth, prepare for war. Amy. Susan immediately called General Paul Martinez, who ran Earth's ground forces. Within an hour they were both sitting in the emergency meeting room with President Mary Johnson and Secretary General Kevin Davis. "Are we sure this message is real?" President Johnson asked. "Amy Foster is one of our best people," Susan replied. "If she says the council killed our ambassador, I believe her." Secretary General Davis looked worried. "But we can't fight the entire galaxy. The council has 12 advanced civilizations. We're just one planet, maybe," said General Martinez. "But we've been preparing for this possibility ever since we developed faster-than-light travel." President Johnson raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" Admiral Wright opened a classified file on her computer. 3 years ago, we started a secret project called Operation Prometheus. We've been developing weapons and ships specifically designed to fight enemies with superior technology. "Why didn't you tell me about this?" the president asked. "Because we hoped we'd never need it," Susan replied. "But our military analysts always said it was possible that we'd meet hostile aliens. We wanted to be ready." General Martinez activated a holographic display. It showed blueprints for ships and weapons that looked nothing like Earth's current military technology. "We've been working with our best scientists," he explained. Dr. Helen Ross at the Terran Research Institute has been leading a team of physicists and engineers. They've developed some amazing things. At that moment, Dr. Helen Ross entered the room. She was a small woman with gray hair and thick glasses. She looked like a grandmother, but she was actually one of the smartest people on Earth. "I came as soon as I got your message," Helen said. "Is it true? Are we going to war?" "It looks that way," President Johnson replied. "What can you tell us about our secret weapons?" Helen smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had been waiting for this moment for a long time. "We've been studying alien technology for years," she began. "Every time we found wreckage from crashed alien ships, we learned something new. The council species are advanced, but they've been peaceful for so long that they've forgotten how to fight real wars." She changed the display to show a new type of weapon. "This is a quantum cascade torpedo. It destabilizes matter at the atomic level. One torpedo can destroy a ship 10 times larger than anything we've built." "How many do we have?" Admiral Wright asked. "We've been building them in secret factories on the moon and in the asteroid belt. We have over 10,000 torpedoes ready." General Martinez looked impressed. "What about ships to carry them?" "That's where Dr. Carl Jung comes in," Helen said. "Carl, come in here." A young man with messy hair entered the room. He looked nervous but excited. "Dr. Jung has solved the problem of fighting enemies with better technology," Helen explained. "Tell them about the Ghost-class destroyers, Carl." Carl cleared his throat. "The aliens have better shields and armor than us, but they rely on sensors to target their weapons. So we built ships they can't see." He showed them plans for sleek, dark ships that look like nothing in Earth's current fleet. Ghost-class destroyers use a combination of stealth technology and dark matter manipulation. They're completely invisible to normal sensors. The enemy won't know we're there until we start shooting. "How many ships can we build?" President Johnson asked. "We've already built 50, Admiral Wright said. They're hidden in secret bases throughout the solar system. Each ship has a crew of 200 volunteers. Who's going to command this fleet?" the president asked. Captain Jake Morrison, Susan replied. He's our best tactical officer. He commanded the defense of Europa during the Colonial Rebellion. He knows how to fight against superior numbers. President Johnson was quiet for a long moment. Finally, she spoke. How long do we have before the council attacks? Based on Amy's message, probably 6 months, Susan said. They'll want to prepare a large fleet to make sure they can destroy us completely. Then we have 6 months to get ready, the president said. What do we need to do? Dr. Helen Ross opened another file. We need to mobilize every shipyard, every factory, every scientist on Earth and in the colonies. We're going to build the most advanced military force in human history. Over the next few weeks, Earth transformed into a war machine. Factories that had been making civilian goods switched to producing weapons and ship parts. Every major corporation volunteered their resources. The public was told that humanity faced an external threat, but the details were kept secret to prevent panic. Captain Jake Morrison was called to Earth from his command on Europa. He was a tall man with scars on his face from the colonial wars. He had brown hair and green eyes that missed nothing. When he walked into Admiral Wright's office, he looked tired, but determined. You wanted to see me, Admiral? Jake asked. Jake, how would you like to command humanity's first interstellar war fleet? Susan asked. Jake sat down slowly. Are we really going to fight aliens? They killed our ambassador and planned to attack Earth. We're going to hit them first. Susan showed Jake the plans for Operation Retribution. The Ghost-class fleet would attack multiple Council worlds simultaneously. The goal was not to conquer territory, but to destroy the Council's ability to make war. This is going to be dangerous, Jake said. We'll be deep in enemy territory with no support. I know, Susan replied. That's why I need someone who can think on his feet, someone who's not afraid to take risks. Jake studied the tactical plans. What about the crew? Do they know they might not come home? Every person on those ships volunteered, Susan said. They know what's at stake. If we lose, Earth dies, Jake nodded. When do we leave? In 4 months. That will give us time to finish building the ships and train the crews. Meanwhile, Dr. Carl Jung was working around the clock to improve the Ghost-class destroyers. He had discovered that the Council's weapons used energy signatures that could be predicted and avoided. He designed new defensive systems that could deflect or absorb most alien weapons. Dr. Amy Foster's message had also included detailed information about the Council species and their military capabilities. Earth's intelligence services used this information to plan specific attacks against each alien race, the Jakari insects, relied on swarm tactics with lots of small ships. Earth would use quantum torpedoes to destroy entire swarms at once. The Saurian reptiles had the strongest individual ships but moved slowly. Earth would use hit-and-run attacks to avoid their heavy weapons. The metal-plated Corvani had the best defensive technology but were overconfident. Earth would use this against them by making them think they were winning before launching surprise attacks. As the months passed, Earth's war machine grew stronger. Secret training facilities prepared, crews for combat in zero-gravity and alien environments. New weapons were tested in the outer solar system where no one could see them. Captain Jake Morrison spent his time studying every piece of information about the Council species. He memorized their tactics, their strengths, and their weaknesses. He knew that humanity would only get one chance to strike. If they failed, there would be no second chance. 2 weeks before the attack was scheduled to begin, Jake stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Earth's Fury. Through the window, he could see the rest of the Ghost-class fleet floating in the darkness of space. 50 ships, each one invisible to enemy sensors, each one carrying enough firepower to destroy a city. Admiral Wright to Captain Morrison, came a voice over the radio. This is Morrison, Jake replied. The Council has positioned their fleets. Around Earth, they're preparing to attack. It's time to show them what happens when they threaten humanity. Jake looked at his crew. They were young men and women from every nation on Earth. They had volunteered to risk their lives for their species. They deserved a chance to fight back. All ships, this is Captain Morrison, Jake announced. In 1 hour, we jump to hyperspace. Our mission is simple. Make the Council pay for what they did to Ambassador Carter. Make them regret the day they decided to threaten Earth. The countdown began. In 1 hour, humanity would strike back. The Earth's fury came out of hyperspace at the edge of the Jakari system. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge and watched the enemy homeworld appear on the main screen. The planet was covered in massive hive cities that looked like giant insect nests. Hundreds of Jakari ships moved around the planet like a swarm of angry bees. Status report, Jake ordered. All 50 ships have arrived in their target systems, reported Lieutenant Nancy Adams, his communications officer. We're still invisible to their sensors. Good, begin Phase 1. Jake had divided his fleet into small groups. Each group would attack a different council world at the same time. The aliens would not know where to send their reinforcements because everywhere would be under attack. The first target was the orbital defense platforms around the Jakari homeworld. These were huge weapons that could destroy any ship that got too close to the planet. But the platforms were designed to fight enemies they could see. Target the nearest defense platform, Jake ordered. Fire quantum torpedoes. The Earth's Fury launched 4 torpedoes. They were invisible, just like the ship that fired them. The torpedoes hit the defense platform and it exploded in a bright flash of light. The platform was completely destroyed. The Jakari didn't understand what had happened. Their sensors showed no enemy ships, but somehow their strongest defense had been destroyed. Sir, the enemy is launching ships, reported Ensign Bob Clark, the sensor operator. How many? Over 300 ships and more coming. Jake smiled. This was exactly what he had expected. The Jakari always sent huge swarms of ships when they were attacked, but quantity would not help them today. All ships execute Swarm Killer Protocol. The Ghost-class destroyers spread out around the Jakari fleet. Each human ship fired a special type of quantum torpedo that exploded into a cascade of energy. When one torpedo hit a Jakari ship, the explosion jumped to nearby ships like lightning. In less than 5 minutes, over 200 Jakari ships were destroyed. The survivors tried to retreat, but the human ships followed them. Every time the aliens thought they were safe, more invisible torpedoes would find them. Meanwhile, in the Saurian system, Commander Lisa Park was leading her own attack. Lisa had been promoted and given command of the destroyer Vengeance after Amy Foster's message reached Earth. She had personal reasons for wanting to fight the Saurians. They had made the poison that killed Ambassador Carter. The Saurian homeworld was a hot, dry planet covered in research facilities and weapon factories. Lisa's target was the biological weapons laboratory where Carter's poison had been created. There it is, Lisa said, pointing at a large complex on the planet's surface. That's where they made the toxin that murdered John. The Saurian defenses were different from the Jakari. Instead of many small ships, they had fewer but more powerful vessels. Each Saurian battleship was twice the size of a human destroyer and carried weapons that could crack a planet, but the Saurian ships were slow and relied on heavy armor for protection. Lisa used this against them. All ships, hit and run formation. She ordered, target their engines first. The human ships attacked from multiple directions at once. They would appear just long enough to fire their weapons, then disappear back into stealth mode before the Saurians could shoot back, one by one. The Saurian battleships lost their engines and became sitting targets. Then Lisa ordered the final attack on the weapons laboratory. This is for Ambassador Carter, she said as she fired the killing shot. The biological weapons facility exploded in a mushroom cloud that could be seen from orbit. Every Saurian scientist who had worked on anti-human weapons was killed instantly. At the same time, other human ships were attacking the remaining council worlds. Each attack was planned to hit the aliens where it would hurt them most. The metal-plated Corvani had the strongest defenses in the galaxy. Their ships had shields that could stop almost any weapon. But Dr. Carl Jung had discovered something interesting about their shield technology. It was designed to stop energy weapons and physical projectiles. It was not designed to stop quantum cascades. Commander Mike Davis led the attack on the Corvani homeworld. His ships fired quantum torpedoes that passed right through the alien shields like they weren't there. The Corvani ships exploded one after another, their crews too shocked to understand what was happening. The floating jellyfish creatures called the Vorthan had the most advanced sensors in the galaxy. They should have been able to detect the human ships, but their sensors were designed to find normal matter. The Ghost-class destroyers used dark matter technology that the Vorthan had never seen before. Captain Sarah Jones attacked the Vorthan research stations where they developed their sensor technology. Without their advanced sensors, the Vorthan would be as blind as the other Council species. In system after system, the pattern was the same. Human ships would appear from nowhere, destroy key targets, and disappear before the aliens could respond. The Council had never faced an enemy like this before. Back on the Earth's Fury, Jake Morrison was monitoring all the attacks through the quantum communication system. Every human captain was reporting success. "Sir, we're getting a transmission from the Council," Lieutenant Adams reported. "Put it on screen." High Counselor Zek appeared on the main screen. The lizard-like alien looked angry and frightened. "Unknown attackers, identify yourselves," Zek demanded. "You are violating galactic law by attacking Council worlds." Jake stepped forward where Zek could see him. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth Defense Force. You murdered our ambassador. Now you pay the price." Zek's eyes widened. "Impossible. Humans do not have this kind of technology." "We're full of surprises," Jake replied. "Here are our terms. Release our surviving diplomats immediately. Pay reparations for the murder of Ambassador Carter. Recognize Earth's right to exist as a free world." "Never," Zek snarled. "The Council has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. We will not bow to a primitive species like humans." "Then you will fall," Jake said. "We're just getting started." Jake cut the communication and turned to his crew. "All ships, Phase 2, target their military shipyards." The second wave of attacks hit the Council's ability to build new ships. Human torpedoes destroyed orbital shipyards that had been building warships for thousands of years. In a matter of hours, the Council lost the ability to replace their destroyed fleets, but Jake wasn't finished. He had studied the Council's history and learned something important. The 12 species that ruled the galaxy had conquered dozens of other races over the centuries. Many of those conquered species were still alive but had been forced to serve the Council. "Send a message to all the oppressed species in Council space," Jake ordered. "Tell them that Earth is fighting the Council. Tell them that now is their time to be free." The message was broadcast across the galaxy. On worlds that had been enslaved for centuries, alien species began to rebel against their Council overlords. The Drakari, a warrior race that had been forcibly pacified, broke out their hidden weapons and started attacking Council bases. The Melonti, a peaceful species that had been forced to work in Council factories, went on strike and shut down the production of war materials. The Zanari, master shipbuilders who had been forced to build Council warships, sabotaged their own work and joined the human side. Within days, the Council was facing rebellions on dozens of worlds. Their empire, built on fear and oppression, began to fall apart. High Counselor Zek called an emergency meeting of the Council. The 12 species that had ruled the galaxy were now fighting for their survival. "How is this possible?" demanded the Corvani representative. "One primitive planet cannot defeat the entire Council." "These humans are not primitive," replied the Saurian leader. "Their technology is more advanced than ours in some ways." "Impossible," said the Vorthan delegate. "We have studied their species. They only achieved faster than light travel a few years ago. Apparently they've been busy," Zek said grimly. "They've been preparing for war while we thought they were just exploring space." The Council tried to rally their remaining fleets for a final attack on Earth, but every time they gathered ships together, human raiders would appear and destroy them. The invisible Earth ships were everywhere and nowhere. Jake Morrison had accomplished something that no one thought possible. He had turned the most powerful military force in the galaxy into a laughingstock. The Council's ships were hiding in their home systems, afraid to venture out where the humans might find them. "Sir," Lieutenant Adams reported, "we're getting surrender offers from 3 Council species. The Corvani, the Millenty supporters, and the Zanari want to switch sides. Tell them they can prove their loyalty by helping us free the remaining human prisoners." Jake replied. The war that was supposed to destroy humanity had turned into humanity's victory. But Jake knew the fight wasn't over yet. The Council still had their most powerful weapons, and desperate enemies were dangerous enemies. "All ships prepare for the final assault," Jake announced. "We're going to end this war where it started. We're going to attack the Council headquarters at Kepler Prime." The Ghost-class fleet gathered for the final battle. Soon the aliens who had murdered Ambassador Carter would face human justice. The massive space station at Kepler Prime had been the center of galactic government for 10,000 years. Now it was about to become the site of the Council's final defeat. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Earth's Fury and watched the station grow larger on the main screen. The station was even bigger than he remembered from the intelligence reports. It was like a small moon made of metal and glass, with thousands of docking bays and weapon platforms. At the center was the Council chamber where Ambassador Carter had been sentenced to death. "Sir, we're detecting massive energy signatures from the station," reported Ensign Bob Clark. "They have weapons we've never seen before." "How massive?" Jake asked. "Big enough to destroy a planet," Jake nodded grimly. He had expected this. Desperate enemies always tried to use their biggest weapons when they were losing. "Lieutenant Adams, any word from Agent Rickstone?" Jake asked. "Yes, sir. He reports that the sabotage mission was successful. The Council's planet-killer weapons have been disabled." Jake smiled. While the Ghost-class fleet had been attacking Council worlds, Earth's intelligence agents had been working behind the scenes. Agent Rick Stone and his team had spent months infiltrating the Council's most secret facilities. When the Council tried to activate their ultimate weapons, they would find nothing but melted circuits and dead computers. "All ships, begin the final assault," Jake ordered. The 50 Ghost-class destroyers spread out around the station. They were still invisible to Council sensors, but Jake knew that wouldn't last long. The station had backup detection systems that would eventually spot them. The first target was the station's communication array. If the Council couldn't send messages, they couldn't coordinate their remaining fleets. Quantum torpedoes struck the massive transmitters and turned them into glowing scrap metal. "Sir, the Council is trying to broadcast a surrender offer," Lieutenant Adams reported. "Put it through." High Counselor Zek appeared on the screen again. The proud lizard alien now looked tired and defeated. Behind him, Jake could see the other Council members arguing among themselves. "Captain Morrison," Zek said, "we are prepared to negotiate." "I told you our terms," Jake replied. "Release our people, pay reparations, recognize Earth's sovereignty." "We accept the first 2 conditions," Zek said. "But we cannot simply dissolve the Council. The galaxy needs order." "Perhaps we can reach a compromise," Jake shook his head. "The time for compromise ended when you murdered Ambassador Carter. The Council is finished. But what about galactic peace?" asked the floating jellyfish creature. "Without the Council, there will be chaos. Species will fight each other. Millions will die." "That's not our problem," Jake said. "You had 10,000 years to build a just government. Instead, you built a tyranny. Now you face the consequences." Jake cut the transmission and turned to his weapons officer. "Target the Council chamber. I want the building intact, but everyone inside dead." "Sir," Lieutenant Adams interrupted, "we're getting a message from inside the station. It's Lisa Park." Jake's heart jumped. Lisa had been presumed dead along with the other members of Carter's diplomatic team. "Put her through." Lisa's face appeared on a small screen. She looked tired and hurt, but she was alive. Behind her, Jake could see Ben Walker and Amy Foster. "Jake, thank God you're here," Lisa said. "We're in a detention cell on level 50. Can you get us out?" "Hold tight, Lisa. We're coming for you." Jake turned to his security chief. "Lieutenant Frank Miller, take a team and rescue our people. Use the stealth shuttles." While the rescue Operation began. Jake continued the attack on the station. The Council's defense weapons were powerful, but designed for fighting conventional enemies. They couldn't hit targets they couldn't see. One by one, the station's weapon platforms exploded under the impact of quantum torpedoes. The Council members were trapped in their chamber with no way to escape and no way to fight back. "Sir, Lieutenant Miller reports that our people have been rescued," Adams announced. "They're on their way back to the ship." "Good, now let's finish." Jake had been saving the most powerful weapon for last. Dr. Carl Jung had developed something special for this moment, a weapon that would send a message to the entire galaxy about what happened to those who threatened humanity. "Prepare the Starkiller torpedo," Jake ordered. The Starkiller was based on the same quantum cascade technology as the regular torpedoes, but it was designed to cause a controlled stellar collapse. It wouldn't destroy the star, but it would make it flare up in a way that could be seen from hundreds of light years away. "Target the system's star," Jake said. "Fire when ready." The torpedo launched toward the sun of Kepler Prime. When it hit, the star would flare bright enough to be visible across half the galaxy. Every species would see it and know that the Council's reign was over. But before the torpedo reached its target, something unexpected happened. High Counselor Zek's voice came over the emergency broadcast system. "All Council fleets, this is Zek. Execute order final solution. Destroy Earth now." Jake felt ice in his stomach. Somewhere in space, Council ships were moving toward Earth to carry out a revenge attack on humanity's homeworld. "Lieutenant Adams, get me Admiral Wright on Earth." "I'm trying, sir, but the quantum communicator is being jammed." Jake realized that the Council had one last trick. While he had been focused on the station, they had been preparing a final attack on Earth. Even if they died, they would try to take humanity with them. "All ships, emergency jump to Earth," Jake ordered. "Maximum speed." But even as the Ghost-class fleet prepared to return home, Jake knew they might be too late. Earth was protected by orbital defense platforms and a small home fleet, but they weren't designed to fight the kind of massive attack the Council could launch. Then Lieutenant Adams smiled. "Sir, I'm getting a message from Earth. It's Admiral Wright." Susan Wright's face appeared on the screen. She was standing on the bridge of a ship Jake didn't recognize. "Jake, good to see you're still alive," Susan said. "Don't worry about the Council's revenge attack. We were ready for them." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. "While you were fighting their main fleets, we've been building something special here at home. Meet the Titan-class battleship Terra's Wrath." The screen switched to show a ship that was bigger than anything humanity had ever built. It was 10 times the size of a Ghost-class destroyer and bristled with weapons that looked like they belonged in a science fiction movie. "We used the same technology that made your ships invisible," Susan explained. "But instead of stealth, we focused on pure firepower. When the Council fleet arrived, we were waiting for them." The screen showed the wreckage of hundreds of alien ships floating around Earth. The Council's final attack had been crushed before it could reach the planet. "The war is over, Jake," Susan said. "You can come home." Jake looked at the Starkiller torpedo as it hit the sun of Kepler Prime. The star flared bright white, then settled into a steady glow that would be visible across the galaxy for years to come. It was a monument to humanity's victory and a warning to anyone else who might threaten Earth. 3 months later, Jake Morrison stood in the Rose Garden behind the White House on Earth. President Mary Johnson was giving him a medal for his service in the war. But Jake's mind was on other things. The Council was gone. The 12 species that had ruled the galaxy were now refugees, asking for mercy from the species they had once tried to destroy. Some, like the Corvani and the Zenari, had joined the new Galactic Confederation that Earth was organizing. Others, like the Jakari and Saurians, were still being hunted by the species they had oppressed. "What are you thinking about?" asked a voice behind him. Jake turned and saw Lisa Park. She had been promoted to ambassador and was now Earth's representative to the new galactic government. She looked much better than she had in the detention cell on Kepler Prime. "I'm thinking about John Carter," Jake said. "He wanted to make peace with the aliens. Instead, his death started the biggest war in galactic history. But it was the right war, Lisa replied. The Council was evil. They enslaved entire species and murdered anyone who opposed them. Someone had to stop them. Jake nodded. I just wish John could have seen how it ended. They walked together toward a new monument that had been built in the center of Washington, D.C. It was a simple black stone with names carved into it. At the top was written, Ambassador John Carter, he died seeking peace, but his death brought justice. Around the monument, delegations from dozens of alien species had gathered to sign the charter for the new Galactic Federation. Unlike the old council, this government would be based on cooperation and mutual respect. No species would be forced to join, and no species would be allowed to oppress others. The Drakari warriors, freed from council oppression, had become Earth's closest allies. Their leader, War Chief Vex, approached Jake and Lisa. Captain Morrison, Vex said in his deep, growling voice, my people owe you a great debt. The Council had kept us as slaves for 1,000 years. You gave us back our freedom. We gave each other freedom, Jake replied. That's what allies do. As the sun set over Washington, Jake looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships were exploring new worlds and making contact with species that had never heard of the old Council. Humanity had gone from being a threatened species to being the leaders of a new galactic civilization, but Jake knew that